Good morning, sir. Riva here
Good
from.
morning. Very good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you after so many days.
Same here, sir.
With your permission, shall we start?
Yeah. I know. No problem.
We are ready.
Right, sir. Nipa ji, I will ask our director of our India Gandhi Cultural Center to start off.
Namaskar. Good morning.
No,
On
this is
behalf of High Commissioner of India, Indira Gandhi Cultural Center, Dhaka, I would like to welcome all our esteemed guests who are here to deliver valuable remarks on the occasion of Rabindra Jayanti 2020. Before we start, we have a very melodious rendition of Rabindra Sangeet by students of Vishwa Bharati University. I would like to request them to kindly present their song. Thank you. Thank you. It was indeed so melodious. Thank you so much. So today we are here to pay tribute to Rabindranath Tagore, and the topic of today's webinar is A Ray of Hope through Tagore's philosophy. Let me introduce our esteemed speakers on the occasion. Our esteemed keynote speaker is Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe, Honorable President, Indian Council for Cultural Relations. He is a national social worker at heart, a researcher, student of political science and a parliamentarian by elevation. Dr. Sahasrabudhe is a postgraduate in English literature and a PhD in political science both from the University of Mumbai. Dr. Sahasrabudhe was appointed member of the Board of Governors at Yashoda. He was then appointed as an expert member on the Board of Governors of the Sardar Patel Institute of Public Administration. His scholarly work on political parties as victims of populism and electoral competitions, a quest for systematic solutions with special reference to India, was well appreciated in all sectors of society globally. He has authored a lot of books in Marathi language, and he is a prolific writer and columnist and a blogger. Under his leadership and guidance, Indian Council for Cultural Relations has witnessed a heightened growth. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Our next esteemed guest speaker is Professor Dr. Vidyut Chakraborty, Vice Chancellor of Bharati University, Chandigarh, India. Professor Chakraborty obtained his PhD from the London School of Economics and Political Science, has been a writer with many books in his credit published with globally reputed publishers. An acclaimed academic, Professor Chakraborty held academic assignments and positions in various renowned universities across the globe. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards and was also appointed the Data Professor at Germany House University. Thank you, sir, for coming. Welcome. Can you hear me, Dr. Chakraborty? Dr. Vidyut?
Yes, thank you very much, Nipa. I can hear you clearly.
Our next esteemed speaker is Dr. Vishwajit Ghosh. He's Vice Chancellor, Rabindra University, Bangladesh. Dr. Ghosh was earlier Professor in the Bangla Department of Dhaka University. He was awarded the Bangla Academy Literary Award and English Padak for his contribution in research. He wrote and edited more than 50 books. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards like Ibrahim Memorial Gold Medal Award, Madhusudan National Medal Award, Dr. Rab Chaudhary Memorial Gold Medal, Inamul Haq Gold Medal, etc. Thank you, Professor, for being with us. Welcome. Professor, our next esteemed speaker is Professor Dr. Fakhrul Alam. He is UGC Professor in the Department of English, University of Dhaka. His publications include The Essential Tagore with Dr. Radha Chakraborty. Dr. Radha Chakraborty is also here with us today. And a lot of other books that has become famous globally. Actually, all our speakers today have got a lot of books in their credit, so mentioning everything is not possible in such a short time. So I'll just give a small detail. He's most famous for his translation work of the book written by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, The Unfinished Memoirs. So it is quite famous globally, and he has got a lot of other translation work in his credit. His recent publication include the English workings of Rabindranath Tagore in the Cambridge Companion to Tagore, and a lot of others. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Welcome. And our next very esteemed guest for today is Professor Dr. Radha Chakraborty. Professor Chakraborty is Professor of Comparative Literature and Translation Studies at Ambedkar University, Delhi. She has co-edited The Essential Tagore with Fakhrul Alamji for Harvard and Vishwa Bharati. And this book was nominated as Book of the Year 2011 by Maratha Nussbaum for the New Statesman. There are a lot of other books in her credit. She's the author of Feminism and Contemporary Women Writers and Novelist Tagore. She's translated several other books. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. And now I would like to request our Honorable High Commissioner, Srimati Riva Ganguly Das, to welcome our speakers today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nipa, for the wonderful introduction. These are under these challenging times, we found this way to do this. I would like to thank all our very distinguished speakers for today's discussion. President ICCR, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe sir, it is indeed a real pleasure and an honor for us that you could spare time. I know how busy you are usually. Dr. Vidyut Chakraborty is with us. Dr. Vishwajit Ghosh is with us. Dr. Fakhrul Alam and of course Dr. Radha Chakraborty. It's indeed a great pleasure. I also wish to, it's also a little special day for us today in Dhaka because I'm just back from the airport having seen off a lot of Kashmiri students who have just gone back home to Srinagar. Our first evacuation flight was this morning under the Vande Bharat mission, and we are delighted that we sent a full flight back of enthusiastic students back. And you know, this is an occasion where it's our flight started on a good auspicious day. I think last few days I've seen in Dhaka particularly, where Tagore is so we see Tagore everywhere. From in Gulshan, where a house is, I think there's a house called Delhi, then Bolaka, and of course Tagore Terrace. So Tagore is everywhere around us, and I found that Tagore's words, "Mukhejak glani ghuchejak jora, ogni snane shuchi hok dhara." I think that resonated with everybody on Poila Boishakh, when we all had to sit at home and celebrate the Bengali New Year without much fanfare, with each other, with actually our solitude in some cases. But Tagore's words really touched our heart, and it was almost like Tagore had anticipated, every situation, like we every time find that every possible emotion that a human being can feel has been expressed by Tagore in some form or the other. And I think the reason for that is he was at the end of the day a humanist, and all human feeling was expressed so eloquently by Tagore. Today we have with us some very, very, people in front of whom I wouldn't like to show my ignorance. So I'll just welcome all of you once again. And as the High Commissioner of India in Dhaka, I'm always conscious of what a role, the shared literature and language plays in our relationship. And I think the links that we have through our language connection, and in which, of course, at all formal occasions, when our national anthem and the Bangladeshi national anthem is played together, it's so one remembers Tagore, the unique person who's composed the national anthem of two countries. So I'm very privileged to be serving India in Bangladesh at a time when our friendship is so close, when our relations are so close. And I just hand over the floor to all of you to discuss today's subject, and very, very warm welcome to all of you on this panel, which we are going to later on show through our Facebook pages. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable remarks. Now I would like to request Dr. Vinesh Hershubateji, Honorable President, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, to deliver his keynote speech on the occasion.
Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Srimati Riva Ganguly Das, who was earlier Director General of the ICCR, Srimati Nipa Chaudhary, Director of the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center in Dhaka, all distinguished members of the academia, both from India as well as Bangladesh, other participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great occasion indeed to be a part of the celebrations of the birth anniversary of the great poet Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. He must be perhaps the only poet to whom both Indians and Bangladeshis are equally indebted, as he was the author of the national anthems of both of our countries. At the outset, let me also remember Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, whose birth centenary year we are observing. Bangabandhu had paid rich tributes to Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in 1972, when independent Bangladesh first observed Tagore's birth anniversary. In a message, Bangabandhu had said that Bengalis have proved their love for Rabindranath Tagore by sacrificing their blood. They have established the right to study Rabindranath's literature in Bangladesh by liberating the Bengali nation. This is the best tribute ever paid to Kavi Guru. In 1972, in a message to a program organized by the Bangla Academy on the occasion of Gurudev's birth anniversary, Prime Minister Sheikh Mujibur Rahman had said that Rabindranath Tagore's works have inspired Bengalis to live up to the ideals of truth, justice, and self-determination. His ideas played a great role in the liberation struggle of Bangladesh. Let me explain that I am quoting this from the news item that had appeared in the Daily Star newspaper on exactly this day, which is May 8, but in 1972. Remembering Rabindranath Tagore is always very inspiring, very enlightening, and also something that holds a clear mirror to you, making all of us turn the searchlight inward. Today, the whole world is in the grip of a severe pandemic. And exactly over 100 years before, through his 1916 novel Chaturanga, Tagore depicted the conditions of a society under the attack of the dreaded plague. Through this novel, Tagore compelled mainly the Bhadralok of Bengal of those days to think about the underprivileged and the marginalized sections of the society. In this novel, we come across portrayal of how an affluent man turns his home into an infirmary for the destitute as the plague breaks out, and eventually succumbs to the disease that he contracts while nursing the sick. Tagore was an integrationist to the core. In 1904, the Viceroy of India, Lord Curzon, announced that the Bengal province would be divided into two parts. The British government was worried about the social integrity amongst different communities in Bengal and wanted to divide and rule. During this time, Rabindranath Tagore wrote the song Banglar Mati, Banglar Jol to unite the Bengali population. Remember, almost similar to the efforts of Lokmanya Tilak in Maharashtra, Tagore started the Rakhi Utsav, where people from different communities tied colorful Rakhis on each other's wrists. In 1911, as all of us know, the two parts of Bengal were finally reunited. Friends, we cannot forget the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and the aftermath. The massacre completely altered the political scenario and composition of India fighting against the British rule. Tagore, during the time of the massacre, was Sir Rabindranath Tagore, because knighthood was conferred on him in 1915, and he also had been a Nobel laureate for 6 years. But on receiving the news about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, he tried to arrange a protest in Kolkata, finally denounced the knighthood as an act of protest, and wrote a letter of repudiation to the then Viceroy, Lord Chelmsford. Rabindranath was a genius in more than one way. He is best known for becoming, in 1913, first non-European person to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. But remember, his legacy far exceeds his poetry. His open-air university in Shantiniketan is amongst his most enduring contributions. Vishwa Bharati, as the university is known, allows a pursuit of academics, arts and craft while celebrating nature in equal measure. Ideologically speaking, friends, he was a humanist, but his inspiration was his nation. Although not socialist in the traditional sense of the term, sensitivity towards the deprived and the disadvantaged was at the core of his worldview. And although he was for confluence of civilizations and cultures, he knew it well that the source of his ideas pertaining to this was the culture with which he had grown. The most unparalleled feature of his contribution to society and country was his approach of weaving several facets of social life, from education to village crafts, from literature to liberal arts, and from freedom struggle to social reforms, including gender justice, into the unique fabric through his deep involvement in contemporary social movements and cultural activities as well. Much has been said about Rabindranath Tagore's passion for a universal mind, which he emphasized in his poem known as Ami, and his constant struggle to elevate human mind to become humanist to the core. He was convinced that a deeper understanding of Indian culture eventually will lead us to the cultivation of universal mind. No wonder all his poems and literary works carry an unmistakable fragrance of the soil of his own country. Nationalism, for him, was the stepping stone for a long journey towards universalism. Before I conclude, let me share with you a couple of pieces of his very insightful and inspiring writings that have an eternal relevance. The message, although for the entire humanity, is perhaps relevant to brothers and sisters in both of our great countries, India and Bangladesh. In his book, The Center of Indian Culture, Gurudev says, and I quote, "But before we are in a position to stand a comparison with the other cultures of the world, or truly to cooperate with them, we must base our own structure on a synthesis of all the different cultures we have. When, taking our stand at such center, we turn towards the West, our gaze shall no longer be timid and dazed. Our heads shall remain erect, safe from insult. For then we shall be able to take our own views of truth from the standpoint of our own vantage ground, this opening out a new vista of thought before the grateful world," unquote. Most notably, this streak of confluence of civilizations is vividly reflected in the writings of Gandhiji, whom Rabindranath Tagore first referred as Mahatma. In Young India of June 26, 1924, Mahatma Gandhi wrote, "My Swaraj is to keep intact the genius of our civilization. I want to write many new things, but they must all be written on the Indian slate. I would gladly borrow from the West when I can return the amount with decent interest," unquote. Great men, as they say, literally think alike. Friends, finally, let me end remembering how confident Rabindranath Tagore was about the power of the East. 3 months before his demise, in April 1941, Rabindranath Tagore wrote, and I quote, "I had at one time believed that the springs of civilization would issue out of the heart of Europe. But today, when I am about to quit the world, that faith has gone bankrupt altogether. Today, I live in the hope that this Savior is coming, that He will be born in our midst in this poverty-shamed hovel which is India. I shall wait to hear the divine message of civilization which He will bring with Him. Perhaps the dawn will come from His horizon, from the east where the sun rises," unquote. Friends, we know sunrise is all about hope, and it is on this optimistic note I conclude my speech with expressing gratitude towards you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir, for your indeed enlightened remarks. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Fakhrul Alam to deliver his valuable speech. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nipa Chaudhary. Dr. Vinay Saha Subudham, President ICCR, Her Excellency Srimati Riva Ganguly Das, High Commissioner of India and Bangladesh, and my fellow panelists. Good morning, Prabhat. Let me begin my speech in this birthday webinar organized by the High Commission of India in Dhaka to commemorate Rabindranath Tagore's 159th birthday by referring to his last public address, Shubhatar Shankot, or Crisis in Civilization. Read out on behalf of the unwell poet 4 months before his death on 14 April 1941, it's an address made pessimistic initially, not only by the shadow cast on the whole world by the seemingly all-engulfing Second World War, but also by the colonial arrogance on display then. But for Rabindranath, though the situation was grim and the misery, misunderstanding, and violence seemed to cloud the horizon, hope was not something to be forsaken, even in an apparently apocalyptic situation. To quote from the concluding section of the poet's speech, although all around him were crumbling ruins of a proud civilization strewn like a vast heap of futility. He would not commit the grievous sin of losing faith in man. Rabindranath goes on in this speech to envision a dawn emerging eventually in all likelihood from the east, where the sun rises, to allow humankind to reclaim the lost heritage. Rabindranath Tagore thus offered to a world, even when fratricidal armies were clashing bloodily in one of the gloomiest phases of human history, a ray of hope through his vision of the future. This is why I believe that the theme chosen by the Indian High Commissioner of Bangladesh at this critical juncture of human existence is a particularly apt one. Kavi Guru offers us through his final address to the world, as he always did through his works and philosophical musings, as well as his actions, a demonstration of his unwavering faith in humankind. Rabindranath is ultimately the poet of hope, encouraging all of us to cope with public as well as personal crisis through his actions as well as his words. Now that we are in a corona-infected world, confined to our homes, constricted in our movements, and leading cramped lives in shrinking bordered spaces, more than ever, we need to remember on this birthday event what Rabindranath articulated at every turn of his life in the planet. Hope is what we can never abandon. For him, the sun will rise again and break through the night, inevitably, naturally, and invigoratingly. Surely his father, Maharishi Devendranath Tagore, had been prophetic in naming him Rabindranath, for he is truly Robi, a son who can guide us in all these and all other times of crisis. Personally, I'm more addicted to Rabindranath's songs than any other genres or creative outlets that streamed from him. And so let me focus in particular on one of his best love songs, Anando Dhara Bohiche Bhubone, or Happiness Streams Across the Universe, to see how he himself coped with personally difficult situations. The song was composed in 1908 at a time when Rabindranath had become overwhelmed by personal tragedies. His dear wife and unfailing helpmate, Mrinalini Devi, became ill and died on 23rd November 1902. 1 month later, his daughter Renuka died at the age of 13. Satish Roy, a young poet and teacher of his Shantiniketan school he was particularly fond of, died 4 months later of typhoid, then raging in Bengal. And his youngest and dearest child, the 13-year-old Somindra, died of cholera in November 1907. As Rabindranath's biographer Krishna Kripalini puts it, it was as if God had sent him, as he had done to his servant Job of the Old Testament, a series of bereavements and afflictions to try him. What he does in the song, however, is admonish himself for letting depression grip him, when God seemed to be sending down every day reasons for living. As Rabindranath berates himself in the song, why was he sitting alone, submerged in the self and feeling forlorn, when day and night heavenly bliss was splashing across the universe, and the sun and moon beaming down forever? He should rather consider his sorrows inconsequential, fill the void in his life with love for others, and act positively. This, then, is the kind of philosophical musing offering rays of hope to us that we can recall on his 159th birthday in this corona-infected year. Let us remember at this time, too, that during these years of bereavement, Rabindranath was fully involved in all kinds of humanitarian and national causes, and not only writing poetry and staying home depressed. After all, these were the years when he was running his fledgling school in Shantiniketan, set up for altruistic purposes with his own money, taking an active part in the Swadeshi movement till he got fed up with its excesses and increasingly communal bent, and working on schemes to help the peasants in his estates in his Bengal lead better lives. Always, Rabindranath was an activist coming up with ways of helping people cope with the consequences of the natural or man-made disasters periodically ravaging the subcontinent. An example that comes to my mind on this occasion is the way he decided to aid the victims of people suffering from the famine-like conditions created by floods in North Bengal in 1932. What he did on this occasion was adapt for performance the long poem he had first written in English titled The Child, that he had subsequently recreated as the Bengali poem Shishu Tirtho in 1932. This adapted version became a Kolkata fundraising event organized to help distressed people. What we find then is Rabindranath typically contributing the way he could at a moment of crisis, yet again. The Rabindranath I would like us to commemorate on this birthday webinar is therefore the activist, as well as the seer poet, who offered again and again rays of hope for his people through his life and works. In a part of the book he translated as thoughts from Rabindranath Tagore, he urges us to meet the morning light and not sit with our faces turned away from it. In his essay on Hindus and Muslims, he exhorts them to demolish the barriers that have been built in their minds. In another essay titled The Tenant Farmer, he points out that no matter how difficult the situation is, one must not give up the will to live. In his breakthrough poem, Nirjhorer Shopnobhango, or The Fountain's Awakening, is rhapsodic in the final line, because the sun has finally found its way. In another poem, Shubhata Prati, or To Civilization, he declares that he must burst through all barriers that hem us in and feel this boundless universe is pulsating with a heartbeat. In his last deathbed poem, Thomas Srishti's Path, or On the Way to Creation, he tells us to embrace truth and cleanse our innermost being by its light. And in a song lyric he wrote on one of his birthdays, with which we started today, He Nutun, or Herald of the New, he urges himself to be like the rising sun. Burst through the heart of the void and unveil yourself. Let life be revealed as triumphant. Rabindranath Tagore then is forever our Robi, shining steadfastly over our part of the world, sending his rays of hope across the subcontinent and even to other parts of the world, warming our hearts and minds with his poems, songs, plays, dance dramas, fiction, prose, the institutions he created like Vishwabharati or Sriniketan, and indeed through his exemplary life. His musings on the world of the spirit, harmony between peoples, the limitations of nationalism, and the need for an international outlook. His thoughts on rural reconstruction, cooperative development, preserving the environment and education amidst nature are as relevant as ever. For us in Bangladesh, in particular, he has been an unending source of inspiration and a sustaining force. For our two nations, of course, he is a bond that is permanent, as we've heard already. On this birthday webinar being organized at a time when our people are trying to cope with the crisis brought about by COVID-19, we know that he's a ray of hope we can turn to and be inspired by as we move on to better days and a brighter future. Thank you very much for listening. All good wishes. Shubhecha.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable remarks. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Vidyut Chakraborty, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Vishwabharati University, to give his valuable remarks. Sir.
Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, and good morning. আমি একটু দ্বিধার মধ্যে আছি কি ভাষায় বলবো, কারণ বিনয়জি ইংরেজিতে বললেন, ফখরুল ভাই ইংরেজিতে বললেন, কিন্তু রবীন্দ্রনাথের লেখা বেশিরভাগটাই বাংলায়, সবটাই বাংলায়। তো আমি যেটা ভাবছি খানিকটা বাংলায় বলে তারপরে ইংরেজিতে বলবো।
নিশ্চয়ই,
একদম।
রবীন্দ্রনাথের যে লেখা আমরা দেখি তার মধ্যে 1 ভাগ কাব্য আর 3 ভাগ গদ্য, এবং এই লেখা থেকে যেটা আমরা পাই সেটা হচ্ছে ওনার দর্শন। আমি বাংলাদেশ হাই কমিশনার, ইন্ডিয়ান হাই কমিশনার বাংলাদেশ, নিপা, এদেরকে বিশেষভাবে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, কারণ আজকে এই জন্মদিনে যে টপিকটা ওরা পছন্দ করেছেন, যে আইডিয়া অফ হোপ ইন টেগোরস ফিলসফি, দ্যাটস মোস্ট অ্যাপ্রোপ্রিয়েট। কারণ রবীন্দ্রনাথের লেখা থেকে আমরা পাই যে রবীন্দ্রনাথ, যেটা ফখরুল ভাই বললেন, হি সাফার্ড এ লট ডিউরিং হিজ লাইফ টাইম। He lost all his children except the eldest one, yet he remained very optimistic. And I'll narrate a story to substantiate my point. In 1907, just before Durga Puja, there was an outbreak of cholera in Kolkata. So Rabindranath wanted his youngest son, Shobindranath Thakur, not to stay in Calcutta but to go somewhere else. So he was sent to Munger, because at that point of time Munger was free from the outbreak of cholera. But unfortunately, Shobi Thakur caught cholera and died. Now, I'm narrating this story simply because the idea of hope became part and parcel of Tagore's philosophy. And while coming back from Munger by train, he categorically stated that last night Shomi died, And today I'm going back to Calcutta by rail. And when I see the sky, I see the sky full of stars, and the stars are playing with each other. They don't seem to have been disturbed by so many massacres, so many hazards, so many deaths. And why should I be so upset? Because when nature enjoys, even after having suffered terribly, I'm just a human being. So I think the idea of hope remains very much integral to Tagore's philosophy. Now, I'm referring to some of the interesting ideas which he borrowed from Upanishad to show that he was a very optimistic person. Even today, when we do prayer on every Wednesday, which has been going on since 1888, we end up our prayer by reciting Upanishadic hymns like Asoto ma sadgamayo, Tamaso ma jyotirgamayo, Mrityum ma amritagamayo. Which means that, let me take from unreality to reality, let me take from darkness to light, let me go from death to immortality. So here also I find the idea of hope is very much ingrained in Tagore's philosophy. The other point which is also very relevant here is the motto which contributed to the foundation of Vishwabharati as a university in 1921. Most of us know that Vishwabharati was founded on two important hymns from Upanishad. The first one is Yatra Vishwam Bhavatika Niram. The place, the world is just like a nest, and Vishwabharati representing the world is just like a nest. The implication is that he wanted people to come back, to come together, to evolve some kind of togetherness. And second motto happens to be Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world being a family, the family of relatives. Here also, Rabindranath wanted to bring people together regardless of class, caste, ethnicity, or region. Now, this is something which is evident if you look at Gitanjali. I just looked at Gitanjali and I found there are about 157 poems, and there are 4 different categories which explain the most of the poems which he wrote in Gitanjali. The first part, which I call it, deliverance, or a complete surrender, Samarpan in Bangla. There we find, since he was influenced terribly by Upanishad or the Vedantic texts, he always surrendered himself completely to the Almighty, to Ishwar. And if you come to Shantiniketan, the prayer room, which is known as Kachghar, there you find these sort of hymns are written all over. And you get that kind of sense once you are part of that prayer hall. The second part of Gitanjali happens to be Atma Shakti, or self-confidence. And that part which Fakrul Bhai referred to, and he elaborated that important dimension of nation being self-confident in his 1904 text called Swadeshi Samaj. And if you look at Gitanjali's poems, he always insists on being self-dependent. There is a famous poem, Bipode more rukkha karo, enohe mor prarthana, Bipode ami jana kori na bhoy, which means that when there is a danger, please don't protect me, but please enable me to defend that kind of danger. So, the point of being self-dependent, the point of being self-confident happens to be an important dimension of Tagore's philosophy. The Tagore also was against, the idea of being arrogant. He was constantly combating this idea of, arrogance throughout his writings in various places. And the final part is humanism, which also Fakrul Bhai talked about, and Vinayji also referred to the human dimension or the universalism in Tagore's political ideas. The last part of my speech is linked with today's corona pandemic. I was looking at Tagore's writings, and I found out very interesting reference to one of the epidemics which he himself suffered in 1898. As we all know, those who are students of history, that Calcutta at that point of time suffered terribly due to the outbreak of cholera epidemic. And their entire country was in a very devastating situation, and you know that Bal Gangadhar Tilak was jailed because he wrote, very scathingly against the British government in his Keshari, for which he was incarcerated in 1898. Tagore condemned it, and he wrote a very long piece in Bharati questioning the British design to take care of those who are victims of cholera. And here, interestingly, that Tagore always talked about a kind of communion of two religious communities, Hindus and Muslims. He started with the statement that had there been King Ashok, had there been Badshah Akbar, probably things would have been much, much different. And then he referred to some of the steps which we are adopting now. He said that first of all, people need to be at home; they should not come out. And the second point, which he insists, the idea of intermixing, and which in today's language it's called social distance. And thirdly, he also insists that we should treat those who are suffering sympathetically. So I find that Tagore's essay in Bharati and today's the arrangement or the preparation to combat this corona pandemic, there is a similarity between these two kind of situations. And also in 1918, when there was an outbreak of Spanish flu, the Vishwabharati was also affected. And during that point of time, even during Puja, we hold a specific cultural program. And Tagore's relative Dinu Thakur wrote a interesting a dance drama called Sharadutsav, and that was not being held simply because of the outbreak of Spanish flu. Now then the question comes, how did it come to Shantiniketan? And I found it in historical literature that there was a lady called Miss Fering. She came from Denmark and she came to India or Vishwabharati with Spanish flu, and as a result of that flu spread to some of the ashramics at that point of time. Now Tagore devised a very unique kind of formula to combat Spanish flu. He prepared what we call in Bangla pachon. Pachon is just a mixture of 5 bitter leaves, Thankuni, Nishinda, Kalmek, etc., etc. And then he prepared a kind of paste, and he asked all the ashramics, the students of ashram, to drink that mixture in the morning. And you'll be surprised to know in 1918 Calcutta people suffered a lot due to Spanish flu, but those who lived in Vishwabharati, they avoided being attacked by the Spanish flu. So Tagore was very happy that his medicine worked. So the point I'm trying to make, that if you look at Tagore's writings, if you look at Tagore's activities, you'll find that he was a very optimistic kind of person, and he never allowed pessimism to grip. So I think the point which I'm trying to make, that the topic of today's discussion is very interesting, and it is something which we should carry on forward. And the final point I would like to make, that when you talk about Tagore's birthday celebration, you'll be surprised to know that these had begun only in 1936. And again, I find it from the history that the first birthday celebration took place in 1887, when Tagore's niece Sharla Devi came to Tagore's residence in Park Street with a dhoti and a kurta and a box of sweet. And then this kind of birthday celebration was being held, and for the first time in 1936, the ashramic or the Vishwabharati students started celebrating his birthday, but not on 25th of Boishakh, simply because, as you know, this period of the year is very hot and humid. So we used to celebrate, even now also celebrate his birthday on first day of Boishakh. And then in 1941, the text which Fakrul Bhai referred to was written and presented, and Tagore was seriously very unwell. As a result, he couldn't read that text, Shobhotar Shankar, and that particular text was read by the Acharya, Khiti Mohan Sen. I told you this kind of story simply to make my point that today's topic is very relevant, and we must celebrate Tagore's birthday, keeping in mind that he was a very optimistic person. And finally, I'll end my speech by reciting a sher by a very unknown indiscreet kind of Urdu poet. I think that will capture Tagore's philosophy in a very succinct manner. कर्म अच्छा है तो किस्मत दासी है, कर्म अच्छा है तो किस्मत दासी है, नियत सही है तो घर मदीना काशी है। इसका इट मीन्स दैट इफ यू वर्क वेल, योर fate, your luck will support you. If your intent is correct, then I think you don't have to go for pilgrimage. Your ghar happens to be a place of pilgrimage. This is what Tagore stood out. This is what Tagore taught us throughout his writings and all throughout his life. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, sir, for your most illuminating speech on hope through Tagore's philosophy. Thank you again on behalf of our Honorable High Commissioner, Srimati Riva Ganguly Das. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Vishwajit Ghosh, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Rabindra University, Bangladesh, to kindly give his valuable remarks. Sir, apnake dichi ebar. Thank you. I have that.
হ্যালো, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? ওকে। আজ রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের 159তম জন্মদিন। এই করোনা আক্রান্ত পৃথিবীতে রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের এই জন্মদিনে সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাই। যারা আজকে উপস্থিত আছেন, ঢাকাস্থ ভারতীয় দূতাবাসের হাই কমিশনার শ্রীমতী রিভা গাঙ্গুলি দাস, শ্রীমতী নিপা চৌধুরী, আজকের আলোচক ত্রয় ডক্টর বিদ্যুৎ চক্রবর্তী, ডক্টর ফখরুল আলম এবং ডক্টর রাধা চক্রবর্তী, এছাড়া শ্রী ধর্মেন্দ্র সিং, সবাইকে আমি আন্তরিক শ্রদ্ধা এবং অভিনন্দন জানাই। আমি বলার শুরুতেই রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের স্মৃতির প্রতি গভীর শ্রদ্ধা জ্ঞাপন করি। একই সঙ্গে ধন্যবাদ জানাবো ভারতীয় দূতাবাসকে, ভারতীয় দূতাবাসের শ্রীমতী রিভা গাঙ্গুলি দাস, শ্রীমতী নিপা চৌধুরীকে। তারা আজকের এই ঝঞ্ঝা দুর্বিপাক মহামারী আক্রান্ত পৃথিবীতে যে বিষয়টি নির্বাচন করেছেন, এ রে অফ হোপ থ্রু ট্যাগোরস ফিলোসফি, যে অসাধারণ যুগোপযোগী বিষয় নির্বাচন করার জন্য। আমরা জানি রবীন্দ্রনাথ বেঁচে ছিলেন 80 বছর। দীর্ঘ এই জীবনে তিনি বহুমাত্রিক সমস্যার মুখোমুখি হয়েছেন, বহু ধরনের বিপন্নতা, বিপর্যয়, রোগ শোকের মুখোমুখি হয়েছেন, কিন্তু সর্বত্রই তিনি আশার কথা শুনিয়েছেন। একটু আগে বিদ্যুৎদা যেমনটি বলছিলেন যে ভয়াবহ স্প্যানিশ ফ্লু কিংবা ম্যালেরিয়ার সময় তিনি কিভাবে আশাবাদী ছিলেন, কিভাবে একজন কবিরাজ হিসেবে পাচন তৈরি করে মানুষের জীবন রক্ষা করেছিলেন। আমরা জানি রবীন্দ্রনাথের সময় ম্যালেরিয়া ছিল ভয়াবহ একটি মহামারী। শ্রীনিকেতনে যখন ম্যালেরিয়ার প্রাদুর্ভাব দেখা দিল, তখন রবীন্দ্রনাথ নিজে, তখন বিশ্বভারতীর অধ্যাপক চেকোস্লোভাকিয়া থেকে এসেছিলেন ক্যারেল চ্যাপেককে নিয়ে তিনি কচুরিপানা পরিষ্কার করেছেন পুকুরে নেমে, খালে নেমে, কারণ কৃষকদের জীবনকে রক্ষা করতে হবে, ম্যালেরিয়ার হাত থেকে বাঁচতে হবে। বিদ্যুৎদা বলছিলেন তার ছেলে সমীন্দ্রনাথের কথা। সমীন্দ্রনাথ শেষ পর্যন্ত কলেরায় মারা গেছেন এবং কলেরায় আক্রান্ত হয়েছিলেন রবীন্দ্রনাথের প্রিয় বন্ধু C.F. অ্যান্ড্রুস। তিনি নিজে C.F. অ্যান্ড্রুসকে চিকিৎসা দিয়ে সুস্থ করেছিলেন। আমরা রবীন্দ্রনাথের নিজের কথা জানি, তিনি 11 বছর বয়সে ডেঙ্গু জ্বরে আক্রান্ত হয়েছিলেন। কাজী এবং পারিবারিক জীবনে সন্তান এবং পরিবারের অন্যান্য ঘনিষ্ঠ মানুষের যে অকাল মৃত্যুতে রবীন্দ্রনাথ বিপন্ন হয়েছেন, বিপর্যস্ত হয়েছেন, কিন্তু সবসময় আমাদের শুনিয়েছেন আশার কথা, আশ্বাসের কথা, শুশ্রূষার কথা। যে গানটির কথা কিংবা যে কবিতাটির কথা আমরা সবাই বলবো যে বিপদে মোরে রক্ষা করো, এ নহে মোর প্রার্থনা, এটি রবীন্দ্রনাথের আশাবাদী দার্শনিকতার মৌল জায়গা। বিপদের সময় নিজেকে অন্যের তৃতীয় শক্তির কাছে রক্ষা পাবার জন্য নয়, বরং আত্মশক্তি উদ্বোধনের যে আহ্বান, এটি তার আশাবাদী দর্শনের একটি বড় জায়গা। আমরা লক্ষ্য করব রবীন্দ্রনাথের সাহিত্যকর্মে এই যে বিপন্নতা বিপর্যয়, যেমন ধর্মেন্দ্র সিং বলেছেন যে চতুরঙ্গ উপন্যাসের মধ্যে প্লেগ এর কথাটি আছে এবং রবীন্দ্রনাথের রোগ শোক নিয়ে নানা রকম কথা আছে, এবং আমরা জানি তিনি একজন খুব উঁচু মানের কবিরাজ ছিলেন এবং কবিরাজি বিদ্যায় তার পারদর্শিতা সকলকে উদ্বুদ্ধ করেছিল। এটি একদিক। অন্যদিকে আমি আর দু একটি কথা বলি যে রবীন্দ্রনাথের আশাবাদী ভাবনাটি কেমন ছিল। রবীন্দ্রনাথ সম্পর্কে তো অনেক কথাই বলা যায়, কিন্তু সময়ের জন্য আমি তো সব কথা বলবো না। অন্যরা যেটা বলেছেন, বিশেষত ফখরুল ভাই এবং বিদ্যুৎ যে কথাগুলো বলেছেন, আমি সেদিকে আর যেতে চাই না। আমি বরং বলি যে যখন হিটলারের প্রথম বিশ্বযুদ্ধ যখন শেষ হলো, কিন্তু 1930-এর দশকে যখন হিটলার পৃথিবী জুড়ে আবার দ্বিতীয় বিশ্বযুদ্ধ বাঁধানোর জন্য উঠে পড়ে লাগলো এবং পোল্যান্ড আক্রমণ করলো, ইথিওপিয়াকে মাটির নিচে গড়িয়ে দিল, তখন রবীন্দ্রনাথ লিখলেন আফ্রিকা কবিতা। এবং আফ্রিকা কবিতায় তার সেই আশাবাদী মানসিকতার কথাই ব্যক্ত হয়েছে। যখন জাপানি সমন্বয়কেরা ভারতবর্ষকে আক্রমণ করার জন্য এগিয়ে আসছে, চীনকে আফিম খাওয়িয়ে ধ্বংস করার চেষ্টা করছে, মাঞ্চুরিয়াকে মাটির নিচে মিছিয়ে দিয়েছে, তখন রবীন্দ্রনাথ তখন চীনের প্রেসিডেন্ট চিয়াং কাই শেকের কাছে টেলিগ্রাম পাঠাচ্ছেন এবং বলছেন যে আমরা আপনাদের দলে আছি, পক্ষে আছি, আশা ছাড়বেন না, এবং আমরা ভারতবর্ষে একটি তহবিল গঠন করেছি। 1937 সালের কথা। সেই 1937 সালের তহবিলে প্রথম 500 টাকা দিলেন রবীন্দ্রনাথ তহবিল গঠনের জন্য এবং এই আশার কথা চিয়াং কাই শেককে জানালেন। আমরা জানি যখন স্পেনের পপুলার ফ্রন্ট সরকারকে জেনারেল মোনা শেষ করার জন্য উঠে পড়ে লাগলো, তখন স্প্যানিশ সিভিল ওয়ারের সমর্থনে তিনি সাজ্জাদ জহির, বিখ্যাত উর্দু সাহিত্যিক সাজ্জাদ জহিরকে তিনি স্পেনে পাঠাচ্ছেন এবং স্পেনের ট্রেঞ্জে ট্রেঞ্জে যুদ্ধ করেছেন সাজ্জাদ জহির। রবীন্দ্রনাথ বয়সের কারণে যেতে পারেনি এমনটি লিখছেন এবং আরি বারবুস, ম্যাক্সিম গোর্কি, আদ্রে বার্লো এদের কাছে জানাচ্ছেন কিভাবে স্পেনকে পপুলার ফ্রন্ট সরকারকে রক্ষা করতে হবে। আমরা লক্ষ্য করব যখন রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর এই দ্বিতীয় বিশ্বযুদ্ধের সময় যখন পৃথিবীর মানুষ আশা হারিয়ে যাচ্ছে, আশা হারিয়ে ফেলছে, যখন দেখা যাচ্ছে যে মানবিকতার বিভূতি গৌতম বুদ্ধকে ব্যবহার করছেন জাপানি সমন্বয়কেরা, তারা প্যাগোডায় ঢুকে কিয়াং এর সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে যুদ্ধের জন্য ভারতীয় সেনা মানুষকে হত্যা করার জন্য, ভারতীয় নারী এবং শিশুদের হত্যা করার জন্য বুদ্ধদেবের কাছে, গৌতম বুদ্ধের কাছে শক্তি প্রার্থনা করছেন। এবং এই সংবাদ যখন আনন্দবাজার পত্রিকায় প্রকাশিত হচ্ছে, পরের দিন রবীন্দ্রনাথ লিখছেন হিং টিং ছট এবং বুদ্ধং শরণাং গাচ্ছামি কবিতা, যে কবিতার মধ্যে তিনি ফ্যাসিবাদের বিরুদ্ধে মানুষকে রুখে দাঁড়ানোর জন্য আহ্বান জানাচ্ছেন। আশা তিনি ছাড়ছেন না। আশাবাদ তাকে সবসময় মানুষকে উদ্বুদ্ধ করার চেষ্টা করেছেন। যে সভ্যতার সংকট প্রবন্ধটির কথা আমরা বারবার বলি, সেখানেও কিন্তু ওই কথাটি আমরা মনে রাখবো যে মানুষের প্রতি বিশ্বাস হারানো পাপ। এই করোনা আক্রান্ত পৃথিবীতে মানুষের সঙ্গে মানুষের যে মৈত্রীবন্ধন, ইন্টার হিউম্যান রিলেশনশিপ, আন্তঃমানবিক সম্পর্ক, সেটি আমাদেরকে বাঁচাতে পারে। আজকে একটি দেশ, বাংলাদেশ কি ভারত কি জার্মানি কি ইরান নয়, আজকে পৃথিবীর মানুষ মহা সংকটে পড়েছে এবং এই সংকটের জায়গা থেকে আমরা রবীন্দ্রনাথকে স্মরণ করব। বিদ্যুৎ আজকে যে প্রতিষ্ঠানের উপাচার্য, সেই প্রতিষ্ঠানের নাম তিনি রেখেছেন 1901 সালে এবং 1 সালে যখন রথীন্দ্রনাথ যখন আমেরিকাতে কৃষি বিজ্ঞান পড়তে গেছেন, তখন রথীন্দ্রনাথের কাছে জানাচ্ছেন যে আমি আমার প্রতিষ্ঠানের নাম বিশ্বভারতী রেখেছি এই কারণে যে আমি বিশ্বকে ভারত করতে চাই, ভারতকে বিশ্ব। আজকে এই যে আশাবাদী দর্শন, সেটি আমাদের কাছে খুব জরুরি। আমরা রবীন্দ্রনাথ সম্পর্কে নানা কথা বলতে পারি, কিন্তু একটি জায়গায় দাঁড়িয়ে আমরা দেখব তিনি শেষ পর্যন্ত মানবিকতার পরম মিত্র। মানুষের যে যুদ্ধ, মানুষের যে সংগ্রাম, নানা বিপন্নতা বিপর্যয় মহামারীর বিরুদ্ধে মানুষের যে সংগ্রাম, সেই সংগ্রামে তিনি সবসময় আমাদের পাশে আছেন, আমাদের পাশে ছিলেন এবং যতকাল রবীন্দ্রনাথ থাকবেন, রবীন্দ্রনাথের নাম থাকবে, রবীন্দ্রনাথের সাহিত্য থাকবে, ততকাল আমরা লক্ষ্য করব, আমরা পাবো একটি অসম, একটি অতুলনীয়, একটি সহায়ক শক্তি। রবীন্দ্রনাথ আমাদের কাছে একটি সহায় হিসেবে, চিরকালের আশ্বাস হিসেবে, আনন্দ হিসেবে বেঁচে থাকবেন। আমি একটি নাটকের কথা বলি। আমি 80-র দশকের মাঝামাঝি সময় কলকাতার নন্দনে নাটক দেখেছিলাম রক্তকরবী রবীন্দ্রনাথের, কিন্তু যারা অভিনয় করছিলেন তারা সকলেই ছিলেন দৃষ্টি প্রতিবন্ধী। যখন নাটকটি শেষ হলো, তখন ওই দলের যিনি প্রধান, তিনি একজন দৃষ্টি প্রতিবন্ধী মানুষ, তিনি একেবারে মঞ্চের সামনে এসে দাঁড়ালেন এবং হাতটা বাড়িয়ে দিয়ে বললেন যে আমরা নাটক অভিনয় করলাম, আপনাদের হাততালি শুনে, করতালি শুনে উপলব্ধি করছি নাটকটি আপনাদের ভালো লেগেছে, কিন্তু আমি তো আপনাদের দেখতে পাচ্ছি না, সুতরাং আমি এই হাতটা বাড়িয়ে দিলাম, কেউ একজন এসে আমার হাতে হাতটা রাখুন, আমি স্পর্শ থেকে বুঝে নিতে চাই আপনাদের আনন্দের মাত্রা কি। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের স্পর্শ, এই নামটি হচ্ছে তার সাহিত্যের স্পর্শটি হচ্ছে পরম আশার কথা। সেই আশা আজকের পৃথিবীর জন্য খুব জরুরি, এবং এই জরুরি এই পৃথিবীতে আমরা স্মরণ করব রবীন্দ্রনাথকে নানাভাবে, নানা উপায়ে তার সাহিত্যকর্ম আমাদেরকে জাগ্রত করতে পারে। আমরা আজকে আমার কথা আমি শেষ করে আনবো। আমি জগদীশ চন্দ্র বসুর একটি উদ্ধৃতি ব্যবহার করতে চাই। এই করোনা প্যান্ডামিকের সময় সেই কথাটি জরুরি হিসেবে দেখা দিতে পারে। জগদীশ চন্দ্র বসু লিখেছেন, "The cosmic unity has unfolded itself to Tagore's poetic vision and has found expression in his philosophic outlook and in his incomparable poems. May his vision expand every day and may his message reach every corner of the earth." এটা খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কথা বলে আমার মনে হয়। আমি আমার কথা শেষ করি। রবীন্দ্রনাথ আমাদের কাছে পরম আশ্রয়, পরম আশ্বাস, এবং শেষ করি এই কথা বলে, তার মানবিকতার এই কথা বলে, Tagore's name will live as long as humanity lasts. To have been the glory of Bengal, the glory of India, is indeed a great triumph, but he is one of the lights of hope of this world. আমি আবার রবীন্দ্রনাথের কাছে আমার কৃতজ্ঞতা, শ্রদ্ধা জ্ঞাপন করি, রবীন্দ্র স্মৃতিকে স্মরণ করি, এবং একই সঙ্গে ঢাকাস্থ বাংলাদেশ দূতাবাস এই ধরনের একটি উদ্যোগ গ্রহণ করেছেন বলে তাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই।
অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ স্যার আপনার বক্তৃতার জন্য। Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Radha Chakraborty to give her valuable remarks on the occasion. Ma'am.
Is this okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to begin by thanking the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center and High Commissioner Riva Ganguly Das and Dr. Nipa Chaudhuri for giving me the honor of including me in this discussion on Tagore's relevance and the way forward through his philosophy. It's a very important day, his 159th birth anniversary, and we have heard such wonderful inputs from all the speakers who preceded me. I do not want to repeat what they have said, but to continue the dialogue, I would like to draw attention to two words: isolation and distance, which have become the catchwords for our very survival in the face of the current pandemic. But these words, isolation and distance, can also be symptomatic of deeper social, economic, and political fissures that threaten to divide the world we live in today. At such a moment, Tagore's broad, inclusive vision of a diverse yet interconnected universe can be of great significance to all of us. Tagore believed in the underlying unity of all things, but he also rejoiced in the infinite variety of all forms of existence in the universe through which this oneness manifests itself. We see this eclectic, inclusive worldview in his writings on society, religion, nature, politics, and education. I'll touch on a few things very briefly in the few minutes that I have. As the only woman speaker on this panel, I think I want to begin by saying something about Tagore's concern about women's position in society, because his thoughts on these issues were in many ways ahead of his time. He writes, for instance, of female desire and the plight of widows in Chokher Bali, about women's role in nation building in Gora, about women's education and creativity in the story Khata, and the transgression of gender boundaries in the play Chitrangoda. In the essay Nari, he celebrates women as the harbingers of a new, more egalitarian world. Tagore was writing for his world, but I don't think Many of these issues have really gone away, even in the world we inhabit today. In Chandalika, Tagore addresses issues of caste and untouchability. And in this play, as also in Notir Puja, Tagore uses the Buddha's teachings to communicate his own message of peaceful coexistence in a world fragmented by hatred and violence. In Notir Puja, in the song Hingshai Unmakta Prithibi, he writes, and I'm quoting the English translation, "The world today is wild with the delirium of hatred. The conflicts are cruel and unceasing in anguish. Crooked are its paths, tangled its bonds of greed. O thou of boundless life, save them. Let love's lotus with its inexhaustible treasure of honey open its petals in thy light." In his youth, Tagore's stay in Shilaidaho had sensitized him to the plight of the rural population in Bengal and awakened his empathy for the downtrodden. Because Tagore, of course, came from a privileged family, but here his eyes were opened, and this surfaces in his short stories, but also in his views on religion. In Gitanjali, he critiques orthodox ritualistic forms of religion to present instead a spirituality that bridges social distance, a God who resides in the hearts of the ordinary people. And I'll quote a few lines from one of the poems of Gitanjali, where he says, "Leave this chanting and singing and telling of beads. Whom dost thou worship, this lonely, dark corner of a temple with doors all shut? Open thine eyes and see, thy God is not before thee. He is there where the tiller is tilling the hard ground and where the path maker is breaking stones. He is with them in sun and in shower, and his garment is covered with dust. Put off thy holy mantle, and even like him, come down on the dusty soil." A sense of oneness with the environment forms a visceral part of Tagore's consciousness. In Chinno Patravali, he writes of this primordial bond with the ecology of our planet, saying, and I quote, "This earth, like someone I have loved long through many births, remains ever new to me. The two of us share a very deep and extensive acquaintance." So this sense of harmony with nature, oneness with nature, is something that I think the world needs to recover today in this day of climate change, when the very planet's future seems to be threatened. His story Bola is about a young boy who feels a closer kinship to plants than to his human relatives. In Onodhikar Prabesh, a woman allows a hunted animal to shelter in her temple. For Tagore, the traditional nature-culture divide, so important to Western philosophies, this division between the human and the natural worlds does not exist. Rather, at Shantiniketan, nature becomes for him the place from where the advancement of human civilization can go on. Tagore does not see the world in one color, in monochrome. To H.G. Wells, he complains, and I quote, "The tendency in modern civilization is to make the world uniform. Calcutta, Bombay, Hong Kong, and other cities are more or less alike, wearing big masks which represent no country in particular." His words seem prescient, for they anticipate current debates about the culturally homogenizing effects of globalization. He insists that diversity is essential to our survival. And I quote from his essay, The Music of the Bowls. He says, "Without difference, the world cannot survive at all. If the temperature everywhere became uniform, the wind would not blow, the river would not flow, the spirit would not survive." Likewise, Tagore critiqued the idea of one nation being imposed on the world by imperialist power. Yet he did not reject the idea of nationhood. His songs, as we know, are national anthems, and he rejected his knighthood after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. But in his essay, What is a Nation?, he described the nation as a construct based on the collective memory, aspirations, and will to action of an entire people, not a geographical terrain marked by boundaries, not defined by ethnicity or race, but by the collective will of a people. But for Tagore, Humanism, and we have heard a lot about this today, humanism remains a greater good than nationalism. In society and state, or Swadeshi Samaj, he argues that each nation owes a debt to humanity. He says every nation is part of humanity and each must answer the question, what have you to give to man? What new ways have you discovered for his happiness? To be human is to transcend the boundaries of home, to be willing to embrace the alien and the unfamiliar. An inveterate traveler, Rabindranath roamed the globe to know his fellow humans and to get to know about them. Without a fully formulated political philosophy, he nevertheless came to meditate between nations as a prophet-like figure, perceived as India's cultural ambassador to the world. Tagore's worldview remained inclusive and eclectic. He critiqued the West for its materialism and material aggrandizement, yet he remained a great admirer of European literature, art, music, and philosophy, and also recognized the importance of the scientific spirit of the modern West. He predicted that a resurgent Asia would become the dominant civilization in the future. But this vision is not based on the idea of a simple reversal of the power relations prevalent under imperialism. He did not believe in one group of nations dominating others, but in the idea of regional harmony and mutual cooperation between nations. In a lecture delivered at Beijing, he said, and I quote, "In Asia, we must seek our strength in union and never in the egotistic spirit of separateness and self-assertion." What Tagore sought was cooperation between nations while respecting mutual differences. In Bharatbharsher Itihash, he says, if there be genuine differences, it is possible to accommodate it in its appropriate place, such differences. You cannot legislate unity into existence. Elements which cannot assimilate need to be recognized, keeping them separate and at the same time engaged in a common task. So he encourages this idea of cooperation between nations while recognizing their separate needs and perspectives. And I think today, as the world fights the coronavirus, this kind of mutual respect and cooperation is the crying need of the day for the entire human race, I believe. We've already heard from Professor Biddu Chakraborty about the motto of Vishwabharati. The idea of drawing together the best from every culture is not to fuse these diverse elements into a monolith, but to create a dynamic space for dialogue and mutual recognition across cultures, systems of thought, and languages. Tagore considers education as a development of the human personality as a whole, and learning as a way of realizing human potential to the fullest possible extent. Knowledge, in his vision, is an open domain, a stream in which everyone can bathe. And I'd like to conclude with something he says in Vidya Samobai, or Aggregation of Knowledge, where he says, and I quote, "The day for isolated development of national cultures is no more. The age has come for the coordination and cooperation of learning, a field for collective cultural enterprise, where Indian learning has to be understood against the larger perspective of the evolution of the entire field of human knowledge." Tagore wrote these words a century ago, more than a century, in 1919. But for our increasingly fragmented world, they still seem to hold a special resonance. Thank you.
Now I'd like to request our High Commissioner to kindly thank our guest speakers today.
Thank you, Nipa, and thanks to all of you. Maybe a few words in Bangla at the end. অনেক কিছু আপনাদের থেকে জানলাম ন্যাচারালি সবাই রবীন্দ্রনাথকে নিয়ে অনেক চর্চা করেন আপনারা আর সত্যি মানে রবীন্দ্রনাথ থেকে সবসময় আমরা ভাবি যে সব অকেশনের জন্য there is something that Rabindranath gave us, and that he would also have something for us as we deal with coronavirus is just amazing. It shows the personality of Tagore and his his extremely deep thinking and thought process. I mean, it also reinforces the fact that Tagore will forever remain relevant. আপনারা সবাই নিজেদের সময় দিলেন আমাদের, আর এই যে এত ভালো একটা ডিসকাশন হলো, এটার জন্য অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ। এটা আমরা আইজিসিসি প্লাস হাই কমিশনের ফেসবুক পেজে এটাকে পোস্ট করব। প্লাস আজ সারাদিন, কারণ আজকে রবীন্দ্র জয়ন্তী সেলিব্রেট করছি, আজ সারাদিন আমাদের আইসিসিআর এর অনেক স্কলাররা তো খুব বড় শিল্পী বাংলাদেশে, তো তারা নিজের নিজের বাড়ি থেকে ছোট ছোট ভিডিওস পাঠিয়েছে, সেটা দেখা যাবে আমাদের ফেসবুক পেজে। আর প্লাস আমরা অনেক ডকুমেন্টারি বানিয়েছি রবীন্দ্রনাথের উপরে, ওরকম একটা ডকুমেন্টারিও বোধহয় নিপা দেখাচ্ছে। তো দ্য হোল ডে উই উইল সেলিব্রেট Tagore as we Bengalis know how to celebrate Tagore, and it's been wonderful having all of you. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Absolutely fascinating discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, আপনারও অনেক আজকে টাইম ছিল, স্ট্রিক্ট ছিল, still you managed to come here and join us. Thank you so much, ma'am, to you also. And I would again like to thank all our esteemed speakers on this occasion on behalf of High Commission of India. All of your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path to be hopeful during this period of crisis, and to take lessons from the philosophy of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore to optimistically fight this COVID-19 crisis. Thank you so much again.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Thank you.